She had just stepped out of a black luxury sedan when the patrol lights cut across the courthouse steps. One officer saw the tailored coat, the calm face, the expensive keys in her hand, and decided she did not belong there. Why was a woman like her driving that car? Why did she refuse to lower her eyes? And why did every warning she gave make him tighten the handcuffs harder? Witnesses watched, phones rose, and a quiet envelope in her briefcase stayed unopened. By the time someone finally read the seal on it, the officer who mocked her would understand that the person he dragged away was not powerless at all. The second click of the cuff sounded louder than the patrol lights. Naomi Ellison kept her shoulders still as the metal closed cold against her wrist and touched the gold ring she still wore. Rain slid down the courthouse steps. Behind her, someone whispered, "Oh no!" and a phone camera chimed. Officer Caleb Rourke pulled her hands lower. "Now we're done with the little performance." Naomi turned her head. "Officer, contact the court administrator before this goes further." "You don't give orders here." "I am not giving an order." "Then stop talking." His partner, Officer Elise Voss, stood near the Mercedes, one hand on her radio. Her eyes moved from Naomi's briefcase to the pass inside the windshield. "Caleb," she said, "the pass matches the judicial entrance. Anybody can print a pass." Naomi breathed in wet concrete, exhaust, and burnt coffee. Her briefcase sat open on the stone. A cream envelope had slipped halfway out, the gold seal turned face down. "Please close my briefcase," Naomi said. "There are court documents inside." "Protected from who?" People shifted on the steps. Near the kiosk, an older woman in a rain hat clutched a cup. "I saw her show something," the woman called. "She showed him." "Ma'am, step back." Steam curled from the cup and vanished. The cuff scraped Naomi's ring again. Victor's ring had been too large after he died, so she wore it where it would not fall off. That morning, Lena had called twice. Naomi had waited, wanting to arrive with the letter in her hand. "Officer Voss," Naomi said, "my phone is in my left coat pocket." "Call Chambers." Rourke stepped between them. "You don't get to pick which officer listens to you." Elise's jaw tightened. "We should verify before transport." "We are verifying," he said, "at the station." A black umbrella opened on the landing. Preston Hale stood beneath it, suit untouched by rain. He murmured to a security guard. The guard looked away. Rourke took Naomi by the elbow. "Careful," she said. "Now you're worried?" "I am asking you not to twist my wrist." "Then walk." The first step down made the metal pull. Naomi steadied herself before he could use the stumble against her. The crowd parted in a soft, ashamed wave. Wet leaves stuck to her heel. The patrol car waited at the curb, rear door open, smelling of vinyl and damp cloth. A woman near the kiosk raised her phone again. Rourke pointed. "You interfere, you'll be next." The phone dropped to her apron, but the red dot kept recording. Naomi stopped beside the open door. "This is your last chance to call the courthouse before you create a record you cannot explain." For the first time, Rourke's mouth tightened. The word record had reached him. Then Preston's voice floated down from the steps. "Officer, some people know exactly how to sound important." Rourke pressed a hand between Naomi's shoulders. "Get in." She bent carefully, refusing to let the cuff twist Victor's ring, and lowered herself into the back seat. The door shut with a thick sound. Through the wet window, Naomi saw the cream envelope beside her briefcase, one corner darkening in the rain. Elise Voss looked down at it, then at the courthouse doors, as if someone inside had just failed to answer a question. At 6:45 a.m., the silver pen clicked once in Naomi's kitchen. She stood barefoot on the cool tile, listening to the refrigerator hum and rain tap the back window. The house smelled of toast she had not eaten and lemon oil on Victor's chair. On the table lay a cream envelope, a court schedule, and a photograph of Lena at 9, missing one front tooth. Naomi picked up the pen. Its metal was worn smooth where Victor's thumb had rested. "You always made the cap crooked," she whispered. Her phone buzzed beside the mug. Lena's name filled the screen. Naomi let it ring twice. "Good morning." "You're awake," Lena said. "I have been awake since 5. "That means you never slept." "That means I respected the alarm." A breath moved through the line. "The ceremony starts at 11:30. "I know." "Do you?" Naomi turned the pen between her fingers. "I have the address written down." "That wasn't what I meant." Naomi looked at the envelope. She had written Lena's name by hand, then stopped before sealing it. "I will be there." "You said that at my law school orientation." The kitchen seemed to lose heat. Naomi pressed her hand to the table, feeling a nick Victor had once promised to sand down. "I remember," she said. "So do I." A drop from the faucet hit the sink with a sharp tick. Lena softened first. "They're naming the scholarship after Dad. I don't want to stand there alone." Naomi closed her eyes. Victor's chair sat pulled out a few inches. "You won't." After the call ended, Naomi held the phone until the screen darkened. She slid the silver pen into her briefcase, then added the envelope under a folder stamped with a date and a time. At 7:18, she buttoned her charcoal coat in the hallway mirror. Her hair was pulled into a smooth, low bun touched with gray. She twisted Victor's ring once before rooms where men expected her to shrink. The doorbell rang. Mrs. Alma Reese from next door stood there, 72, wrapped in a blue raincoat and holding a casserole dish covered in foil. "Don't look at me like that," Alma said. "It's for later." "Alma, I'm not sick." "You forget to eat when you're carrying something heavy." Naomi glanced toward the briefcase. Alma noticed without staring. "Lena called me yesterday. She worries too loudly." "She learned from you." Naomi accepted the dish. It was warm through the foil, buttery and sharp with onion. "Thank you." "You going to tell her everything today?" Naomi's thumb found Victor's ring. "Not everything belongs at a podium." "No," Alma said, "but some things rot when they stay folded too long." Rain blew through the open door. Naomi looked past Alma at the black Mercedes waiting in the driveway. "It's just a car," Naomi said. Alma raised one eyebrow. "I didn't ask." At 7:42, Naomi locked the house and walked down the path. A gust pushed wet leaves against her ankles. Her phone buzzed again. "Reserved entrance confirmed. Please use parking space 7. Before starting the engine, she placed the briefcase on the passenger seat and touched the envelope once, as if checking a pulse. 11:30, she said to the empty car. The dashboard lit blue. As she pulled away, Alma stood on the porch, and Naomi lifted Victor's ringed hand in return. At 8:06 a.m., the courthouse gate arm lifted halfway and stopped. Naomi braked before the striped barrier. Rain tapped the Mercedes roof. The booth window slid open, and cold air pushed out, smelling of damp paper and old coffee. "Name?" the guard asked. "Naomi Ellison." He was young, with a shaved line through one eyebrow. His eyes moved from the tablet to the car. "Purpose?" "Judicial entrance. Reserved parking." "Paperwork?" Naomi handed him the printed pass. The paper trembled in the stream from the booth window, its corner fluttering against her ring. "Space 7, he read. "That's correct." He looked toward the lot. "Space 7 is usually—" A horn tapped behind her. In the mirror, A silver SUV idled close enough to fill the glass. A man stepped into the rain, 45, tall, heavy in the shoulders, navy suit untouched by the morning, leather folder under one arm. "Eddie," he called, "what's the delay?" "Checking a pass, Mr. Hale." Preston Hale's gaze slid over Naomi's face. His smile arrived late. "Ma'am, visitors use the south deck." Naomi lowered the glass. Cold air touched her cheek. "I was directed here." "By who?" "The court. That entrance is restricted. So is the pass." Preston stepped closer. "Eddie, don't get yourself in trouble. People borrow cars, borrow badges. Try anything." Naomi kept both hands on the wheel. "Call the administrator's office." "I can," the guard said. "Or," Preston cut in, "move the line and let attorneys with hearings get inside." A woman in an orange rain jacket hurried from the parking office, clipboard to her chest. Dark hair curled wet under her hood. "I'm Marisol Vega," she said. "Parking services." Naomi passed her the confirmation text. Marisol checked it, then the pass shaking in the guard's hand. "This came from the administrator's office," Marisol said. "Space 7 is assigned today." Preston's jaw tightened. "Assigned to whom?" "The pass doesn't list public names at the gate." "That's convenient." Beyond the barrier, Space 7 sat empty beside the side steps. "My appointment begins in less than an hour," Naomi said. Preston leaned closer. His cologne cut through the rain. "Then park where you belong and walk." Marisol's fingers pressed dents into her clipboard. "Mr. Hale, please return to your vehicle." He glanced at her badge. "Parking Services gives orders now?" "No, but the lane is blocked." A second horn sounded. Preston did not turn. "The guard can verify the pass," Naomi said. Preston took out his phone. "I'll help him." "Sir, that isn't necessary." He lifted the phone to his ear. "North Judicial Gate. Possible unauthorized vehicle in a reserved space." The guard froze with the booth phone halfway raised. Naomi looked at him, not Preston. "Make your call, too." Eddie swallowed and dialed, but his hand shook enough that the paper pass tapped against the sill. Tap, tap, tap. Marisol handed the pass back. "I'm sorry for the delay. It is not yours to apologize for." Marisol's eyes met hers. Not recognition. Not yet. Only the look of someone realizing the morning had shifted under her feet. The gate motor hummed again, then died. And beyond the booth, Naomi heard a siren turning into the courthouse drive. The siren stopped with a chirp that shook the booth glass. Officer Caleb Rourke stepped out first, rain sliding from his cap. Officer Elise Voss followed, eyes moving to the windshield pass. Preston Hale lowered his phone. "Glad you're here. This vehicle is blocking judicial access." Naomi kept her window halfway down. "I am waiting for gate to open." Rourke bent toward her. Wet leather and coffee came with him. "License and registration." Naomi opened her wallet. "Of course." "Hands where I can see them." "They are on my wallet." She placed the wallet flat in her palm, documents squared beneath her thumb. Rourke looked at the license. "This your car?" "Yes." "Whose name is on the registration?" "Mine." Marisol stood by the barrier, rain gathering on her clipboard. Eddie held the booth phone without dialing. Naomi reached toward the console. "Registration is here." Rourke straightened. "I said hands visible." "You asked for it." Elise glanced at the pass. "Caleb, the permit number matches parking." "We don't know that yet." "I'm looking at it." Preston laughed under his breath. "Printed paper and a nice car. That's all it takes?" Naomi turned to him. "Mr. Hale, let the officers work." His smile thinned. "You know my name?" It was spoken loudly enough. Rourke tapped the window frame. "Step out." Naomi unbuckled and opened the door. Cold air tightened her fingers. She stood between the Mercedes and the barrier, gray hair smooth beneath rain. Rourke's eyes dropped to the keys in her right hand. "Give me those." "Why?" "To secure the vehicle." "There is no need." That wasn't a request. Naomi opened her palm. The black fob and silver house key lay against her skin. When wind moved through the lane, they rang softly together. "Before you take my property," she said, "call the court administrator." He took the keys. "You can ask all you want." Elise stepped toward the windshield. "Judicial entrance, space 7, issued this morning." Rourke did not look at her. "Anybody answering inside?" Eddie lifted the phone. "It's ringing." Naomi looked at him. "Stay online." Rourke held up her license. "Occupation?" "I am here on court business." "That's not an occupation." "It is the relevant answer." A horn behind them blared. Someone shouted, "Move it!" Rourke stepped close enough to show the nick in his nameplate. "You're making this difficult." "No," she said. "I am making it documented." Elise's jaw tightened. "Caleb, run the plate and wait. We're not standing in rain for a woman who won't answer." Marisol lowered her clipboard. She did answer. "Step back," Rourke snapped. Water dripped from Marisol's hood onto her shoe. Rourke turned the fob in his fist. "Open the trunk." Naomi's empty hand closed once. "No? No?" Rourke repeated. "Not without a lawful reason clearly stated." Elise looked through the rain-streaked glass. A cream envelope rested under the briefcase flap, marked with a seal. Rourke pointed toward the curb. "Hands on the vehicle." Naomi did not move. The keys gave one small ring in his fist. Then Eddie's voice came thinly from the booth. "Officer, the assistant says someone important is expected at 9. Rourke kept his eyes on Naomi. "They can wait." The coffee lid bent under Marisol Vega's thumb until brown liquid crawled over the rim. She had backed away from the gate, but not far. The kiosk's awning ticked with rain. Steam rose from the cup in her left hand. Her right hand held her phone low against her apron. Screen dimmed. The red dot alive. "Ma'am," she called. "The administrator's office needs to answer." Officer Rourke did not turn. "I told you to step back." Naomi stood beside the Mercedes with both hands visible on the wet roof. Rain darkened the shoulders of her charcoal coat. Officer Voss read the permit through the windshield. "Caleb, this is not a visitor tag. It's a piece of paper. It has the court seal." Preston Hale shifted under the overhang. "A printed seal doesn't make someone authorized." Naomi's voice stayed level. "Mr. Hale, you made the call before the guard completed verification." Rourke snapped his gaze toward her. "Stop addressing civilians. He is part of the reason you are here. Keep your hands where they are." The older woman in the rain hat stepped out of the coffee line. "Officer, I saw her show the pass." Rourke pointed with Naomi's keys. "Ma'am, do not involve yourself." "My name is Ruth Mercer," she said. "I'm here for probate. My husband's watch is in that building." No one answered her. The crowd heard the confession and looked away. Marisol's thumb pressed harder. The lid folded with a soft crack, hot coffee running over her knuckle. She barely moved. On her screen, Naomi's ringed hand rested inches from the roof seam. Inside the courthouse, Aaron Price checked the clock above the clerk's counter. 8:19 a.m. Federal guest arrival confirmed. North Judicial Gate, 8:10. No entry scan. No check-in. His phone buzzed with Marisol's message. "Something bad at Gate N." "I'm recording. Woman says call admin. Officer refusing." A video file followed, loading in gray. Aaron stood before it reached the end. "Get Judge Whitcomb," he said. The senior clerk looked up. "Now?" "Yes. Back outside, Rourke stepped closer to Naomi. "You're interfering with courthouse access." "I understand you have not called the administrator. I don't need your script. You need verification." Another witness lifted a phone, then lowered it when Rourke glanced over. Elise moved toward Caleb. "Run the name. Run the plate. 5 minutes. And let her keep playing status games? She's not raising her voice. That doesn't impress me." Marisol felt the burn on her thumb. She tucked the coffee under the counter and kept filming. Ruth Mercer tried again. "Officer, if you'd just listen." "Ma'am." The single word cut across the rain. Ruth's mouth closed. Her cup trembled. She looked at Naomi, then down at the pavement, as if apology could travel without sound. Naomi saw it. She gave one small nod. Rourke took that as permission for nothing. "Turn around." "For what reason?" Elise's hand went to her radio. "Caleb." He stepped behind Naomi. The crowd drew in a breath and did not spend it. Marisol's phone caught Naomi's face in profile, the columns behind her, the rain bright on her cheek. Then Aaron Price's call reached the booth phone, ringing through the open window while no one moved to answer it. The booth phone kept ringing after the first cuff clicked. Eddie stared through the open window, Naomi's pass bent in his fingers. "Answer it," Naomi said. Rourke tightened his grip on her wrist. "You are not directing this. This is not a performance." Rain tapped the kiosk awning. Marisol's phone trembled in her burned hand, but the red dot stayed on. Ruth Mercer held her paper cup without drinking. Preston Hale watched from the landing. Elise Voss stepped closer. "Caleb, let the guard answer." "I said turn around." Naomi turned slowly. The roof of the Mercedes was cold through her thin gloves. Her keys were still in Rourke's fist, Victor's silver tag hanging from the ring. "Officer," she said, "secure my property properly." "You worried about the car now?" "I am worried about your choices." He pulled her hands behind her back. The second cuff closed, and the metal touched Victor's ring with a small, clean sound. Ruth flinched. Preston murmured, "Finally." Eddie snatched up the phone. "Northgate." His eyes widened. "Yes, sir." "No, sir, she's here. The officers are—" Rourke snapped. "Hang up." "It's the clerk's office." "Tell them we're handling it." Naomi turned her head. "Tell them my name." Rourke pushed her forward. "Walk." The motion knocked the keys from his hand. They hit the pavement, skipped once, and slid into a shallow puddle beside a yellow leaf. The black fob settled face up. Rain made rings around it. For 1 second, everyone looked down. Marisol's camera followed the keys. Naomi saw the blue enamel star Lena had given her years ago rocking in muddy water. "For the judge who never gets lost," Lena had said. Now it lay under Rourke's boot shadow. "Pick them up," Elise said. Rourke glanced at her. "Excuse me?" "Her keys." "Pick them up." "You picked them up?" Elise bent, but Rourke shifted 1 foot beside the puddle. Naomi said, "Please do not step on them." Preston gave a dry laugh. "Still polite." Naomi turned her eyes to him. "Remember that." The laugh stopped. From the booth, Eddie covered the receiver. "They're asking if she has a sealed packet." Elise froze. Rourke pulled Naomi toward the patrol car. "Enough." "My briefcase," Naomi said. It sat open on the stone ledge, rain spotting the leather. The cream envelope had slipped farther out, one corner darkening. "There are documents inside," she said. "Property can be collected later." "Close it." Elise moved. "I'll do it." Rourke stopped. "Leave it." "Caleb, leave it." The doors opened. Aaron Price rushed out, phone in hand. "Officer, wait." a delivery truck hissed along the curb and swallowed the rest. Rourke opened the patrol car's rear door. Damp vinyl breathed out. Naomi stopped at the curb. The cuffs pressed Victor's ring into her skin. "Officer Voss," she said, "the black fob is not evidence. It is a person's way home." Elise's lips parted. Rourke lowered his voice. "Get in." Naomi bent carefully. Her coat brushed the wet doorframe. As she lowered herself into the back seat, Marisol stepped from under the awning. The door shut with a thick sound. Through the blurred window, Naomi watched Elise crouch and lift the keys from the puddle, while Aaron Price reached the bottom step with his phone. The patrol car smelled of damp vinyl and stale mint. Naomi sat sideways, wrists caught behind her, coat twisted under one hip. Through the rain-blurred window, she saw Aaron Price on the courthouse steps, phone raised like a paper shield. "Officer Rourke," Aaron shouted. "Stop the transport. The administrator is on the line." Rourke keyed his radio. "One detained North Judicial Gate. We're moving." Elise stood outside with Naomi's keys in her palm. Water ran from the black fob onto her cuff. "Caleb," she said. "He's saying administrator." "He can say it at the station." Naomi turned carefully, the cuff chain biting. "My phone is in my left coat pocket." Rourke straightened. "No calls. It may prevent you from deepening the record." His hand shot in through the open door, rough against the wool of her coat. He removed the phone. At that exact moment, it rang. Lena Ellison. The name filled the small screen in white letters. The vibration traveled through Rourke's wet glove. Naomi's face changed only around the mouth. "Answer it," she said. "No." "She is waiting for me." Rourke glanced at the screen. "Then she can keep waiting." Behind him, Marisol made a sound she covered with her burned thumb. Ruth Mercer took one step forward and stopped. Elise's voice lowered. "Caleb, log it if you're taking it." "Fine." He pressed a button. The ringing stopped. The screen went black. Naomi closed her fingers around nothing. Inside the community hall, 8 blocks away, Lena stood beside a folded podium program and checked her phone again. The hall smelled of polished wood, flowers, and paper cups. A woman arranging chairs asked, "Still no answer?" Lena shook her head. "She said she was coming." "Traffic?" "My mother leaves early enough to avoid traffic in cities she's never visited." She tried to laugh, but her fingers could not slide the phone back into her clutch. Back at the gate, Aaron reached the patrol car window. "Officer, that woman is expected upstairs." Rourke closed Naomi's door before Aaron could finish. The sound trapped the rain outside and left only the radio hiss. Naomi watched Aaron through the glass. His mouth moved. "Judge Whitcomb. Federal guest. Please." Rourke got behind the wheel. "Seatbelt. My hands are cuffed behind me." Elise opened the rear door on the other side. "I'll secure it." She pulled the belt across Naomi's coat. Naomi said quietly, "You saw the pass." "Yes," Elise whispered. "Then remember the order of things." The buckle clicked. Rourke looked in the mirror. "What was that?" "Seatbelt is secure," Elise said. Marisol stood in the lane, phone against her apron. She did not raise it higher. She did not lower it either. Ruth Mercer stood beside her, lips pressed tight around words she had not spent. As the car rolled away, the courthouse steps slid past in streaks of gray stone and blue light. The cream envelope remained visible inside the clear property bag hanging from Elise's wrist, its damp corner folded like a small, wounded wing. Naomi looked down at her empty coat pocket. At the community hall, Lena's phone lit again, not with her mother's voice, but with a message from an unknown number. Your mother was taken from the courthouse gate. I recorded it. The interview room had no window, only a buzzing square of light that made the walls look tired. Naomi sat with her coat damp at the shoulders. The cuffs were gone, but a red line circled each wrist. Across the metal table, Desk Sergeant Nolan Briggs, 52, gray mustache clipped sharp, tapped a pen against a clipboard. Name. You have my license. I asked for your name. Naomi Ellison. Occupation. Naomi placed both hands flat on the cold table. Court officer. Officer Rourke laughed from beside the door. That's new. It is accurate. Briggs wrote slowly. What kind? The kind your department should verify before this continues. Naomi turned only to Briggs. My briefcase contains a sealed packet and federal contact information. Call the number on the inside flap. Briggs glanced at the property bag on the counter. Her phone, wallet, keys, and briefcase were inside. The cream envelope showed through the plastic, its gold seal turned up at last. Beside it, Victor's silver fountain pen had rolled against the seam. Everything gets inventoried first, Briggs said. You don't set procedure, ma'am. No. Procedure sets itself in writing. A phone rang beyond the wall. One ring. Two. Then silence. Please let me call my daughter, Naomi said. Rourke's jaw tightened. Not happening. She has no information about where I am. Naomi's fingers curled under the table edge. The metal was cold enough to sting. She released it. Briggs saw it. His tapping pen slowed. I am not asking for sympathy, she said. I am asking you to verify. The door opened. Officer Elise Voss stood there with rain on her sleeve. Naomi's keys rested in an evidence envelope. I logged the vehicle as secured, Elise said. Rourke turned. Why are you in here? Captain asked for my statement. Dispatch received calls from the courthouse. Briggs stopped writing. The air smelled of wet wool, coffee, and floor cleaner. Naomi said, Sergeant, open the briefcase. Rourke moved between Briggs and the counter. No, we're not letting her run the room. Elise's eyes fixed on the bag. The seal is visible. Lots of things have seals. Briggs rose. The chair scraped the floor. Officer Rourke, step out. Rourke blinked. Sergeant, out. Rourke opened the door hard enough for the latch to hit the wall. Elise stayed outside the glass. Briggs put on blue gloves. The plastic bag rasped as he lifted out the briefcase. He paused when the silver pen rolled into the tray. That yours? My husband's. Need it removed? Naomi looked at it, bright and useless under the lamp. At 11:30, Lena would be beside the scholarship podium, waiting for the letter signed with that pen. Her throat tightened. She waited until it passed. No, leave it where it is. Briggs opened the briefcase. Leather and rain rose from it. He lifted the cream envelope, turned it over, and read the embossed line beneath the seal. His mustache twitched. From the hallway, a radio crackled. Unit at station, hold detainee. Courthouse administration en route. Briggs looked from the envelope to Naomi. She did not ask what he read. On the counter, the silver pen rolled once, tapped the plastic tray, and stopped pointing toward the door. The video loaded one gray strip at a time on Aaron Price's phone. He stood outside Chief Judge Eleanor Whitcomb's chambers with rainwater on his shoes. Behind the door, a hearing murmured through old wood. From the clip came Rourke's voice. Turn around. Then Naomi's voice. For what reason? Aaron stopped breathing until the hallway clock clicked twice. Judge Whitcomb opened the door before he knocked, white hair neat against her jaw. Mr. Price, she said. Why are you pale? He held out the phone. North Gate. Marisol sent this. Rain streaked the image. Naomi stood with her hands on the Mercedes roof, the pass visible through the windshield. A cream envelope lay near the briefcase. Whitcomb watched without speaking. When Rourke pushed Naomi toward the patrol car, Aaron said, "Federal guest check-in never happened. Her packet may be at the station." Whitcomb's eyes moved to the calendar. "Call Deputy Marshal Avery." "I tried Chambers first. Call him directly." 8 blocks away, Lena Ellison stood under a banner for the Victor Ellison Scholarship. Her phone held the unknown message open. "Ms. Ellison," the organizer asked, "we can delay 10 minutes." Lena pressed play. Her mother appeared in rain, wrists behind her. Paper slid from someone's hands across polished floor. "No," Lena said. At the police station, Sergeant Briggs stood in the doorway with the envelope in his gloved hand. Rourke hovered behind him. "This says Federal Judicial Authority," Briggs said. Rourke pointed at Naomi. She refused to identify herself. "I identified myself by name," Naomi said. "You played games." Naomi looked at the silver pen in the tray. "My daughter is waiting at a ceremony for her father." The gold seal flashed under the buzzing light. A phone rang at the front desk. Then another. Elise Voss appeared in the hall. "Courthouse is asking for confirmation." Briggs turned. "Give them her name." Rourke stepped forward. "Sergeant, hold on." "No," Briggs said. "That word has done enough today." Aaron's call connected on speaker in Whitcomb's office. "Deputy Marshal Avery," a man answered. "This is Aaron Price from Ravenport District Court. We have a detained arrival believed to be Judge Naomi Ellison." Silence pressed against the speaker. Whitcomb leaned over the desk. "Grant, this is Eleanor. I need you at Ravenport PD now." Avery's voice changed. "Is she injured?" "We don't know." "Who detained her?" Aaron looked at the frozen video. "Officer Caleb Rourke," Aaron said. Lena's call reached Aaron's desk. The line blinked red. He grabbed it. "Ms. Ellison." "Where is my mother?" Aaron looked at Whitcomb. The judge gave one short nod. "She is at Ravenport Police Department. We are correcting this." "Correcting?" Lena's voice cracked. "She was taken in handcuffs." "I'm sorry. Is she alone?" He could hear chairs scraping around Lena. "No," he said. "Not anymore." In the station interview room, Naomi heard footsteps multiply beyond the wall. Briggs returned her phone to the table. "You'll be able to call her in a moment," he said. Naomi nodded once. The loading bar on Marisol's original video reached the end in Aaron's hand, and the final frame froze on the cream envelope in the rain. The front doors of Ravenport Police Department opened at 9:07 a.m. Deputy Marshal Grant Avery stepped inside, 44, rain on his dark coat, a scar through one eyebrow, credential case open. Chief Judge Eleanor Whitcomb followed with Aaron Price, holding Marisol's video. The desk went quiet. Sergeant Briggs stood. "Can I help you?" Avery placed the case on the counter. "I'm here for Judge Naomi Ellison." Near the interview room, Officer Rourke gave a short laugh. "Judge?" Whitcomb looked over her glasses. "Do not make that your second mistake." Naomi heard the word through the wall. Lena still had not heard her voice. Avery entered first. His eyes moved over the red marks on her wrists, the damp coat, the property tray, and Victor's pen. "Judge Ellison." "Deputy Avery." "Can you stand?" "Yes." Briggs released the bar. Metal clicked. Naomi rose, palm on the cold table. Whitcomb stopped at the threshold. "Naomi?" "I'm all right." "No," Whitcomb said, "but later." Rourke stepped in. "She never told us she was a judge." Naomi turned her head. "I asked you to call the court administrator 7 times. That's not the same thing." Avery looked at Briggs. "The briefcase." Briggs set it on the table. Wet leather made a flat sound against metal. He opened the flap and lifted out the cream envelope. Rourke said, "That property hasn't been inventoried." Avery did not look at him. "Then watch carefully." The corner was dark from rain, but the gold seal remained clean. Under the cold lamp, it flashed against the gray wall. No one spoke. Avery read the embossed line, then handed the page to Whitcomb. Briggs removed his glasses. "I was about to verify." "After transport," Avery said. "After restraint. After denying a call." Elise Voss stood in the doorway with Naomi's keys sealed in plastic. "Deputy Marshal, I saw the pass." Avery turned. "When?" "At the gate." "And?" "I told Officer Rourke to wait." Rourke stared at her. "Elise." She did not answer. Naomi looked at the phone in Briggs's hand. "May I call my daughter now?" Briggs placed it on the table. "Yes, ma'am." 5 missed calls from Lena filled the screen. Naomi pressed her name. At the scholarship hall, Lena answered before the first ring finished. "Mom? I'm here. Are you hurt?" "No." "That is not an answer." Naomi looked at Victor's pen. "I am standing. They sent me a video." "I know. I thought—" Lena stopped. Naomi lowered her voice. "I'm sorry I missed the start. The start can wait." Across the table, Rourke looked down at the gold seal as if it had spoken against him. Avery slid the documents into a clear sleeve. "Sergeant Briggs, preserve footage from the gate, booking area, and this room. No deletions." Briggs nodded. "Understood." Whitcomb faced Rourke. "Do not contact Judge Ellison, her family, or any witness." "I followed a complaint," Rourke said. "You followed your conclusion," Naomi said. The words stayed longer than a shout. Avery lifted Victor's pen from the tray. "Judge, this should not have been left in the rain." Naomi picked it up. It was cold, but dry. Aaron's phone buzzed. "Marisol says she has the full recording." Naomi looked toward the open door. "Tell her not to delete anything." The red recording light came on at 10:14 a.m. It was a pinhead on the black device in the center of the review room table, but every eye found it. Captain Denise Malloy, 50, with cropped curls and a voice that made people sit straighter, folded her hands beside the dispatch logs. "This is an administrative interview," she said. "Every answer matters." Rourke sat at the far end. Rain dried into pale marks on his uniform. Elise Voss sat 2 chairs away, cap on her knees. Naomi stood near Deputy Marshal Avery and Judge Whitcomb. Victor's pen was clipped inside her briefcase. Malloy looked at the screen. "Body cam, 8:12. Rain noise filled the room. Rourke's camera showed Naomi at the gate, hands visible, pass in the windshield. "Occupation?" "I am here on court business." Malloy paused it. "Why didn't you ask dispatch to verify the pass?" Rourke said. The subject was evasive. Avery turned his head slightly. Naomi did not move. Malloy pressed play. Elise's recorded voice followed. "Caleb, the permit number matches parking." The red light burned steady. Malloy looked at Elise. "Did you believe verification was available?" Elise's fingers slipped on the cap brim. "Yes." "Did you say so?" "Yes." "Why did transport continue?" Elise looked at Rourke. "I didn't stop him." "You weren't in command," Rourke said. "No," Elise answered. "But I saw enough." Naomi watched one thumb worry a loose thread until it snapped. Malloy slid a paper forward. "First call, 8:08. Possible unauthorized vehicle in Space 7. Caller identified himself as Preston Hale." Rourke said, "That was the complaint." "Second note," Malloy said. "Gate guard began court verification, but did not complete it because officers arrived." On the screen, Eddie's booth phone rang, while Rourke pulled Naomi's hands behind her back. Ruth Mercer's thin voice came through. "I saw her show the pass." Malloy stopped the video. "Did you hear that witness?" "I heard people talking." "That was not my question." His jaw worked. "Yes." Aaron Price entered with Marisol Vega's file on a secure drive. Marisol waited behind him, bandage around her thumb. "This is the full recording," Aaron said. "No edits." Marisol's video filled the screen. The keys fell into the puddle. The yellow leaf turned. The black fob rocked in rainwater. Rourke shifted. His chair gave a short squeal. Elise lowered her eyes. "I picked them up after transport." Malloy made a note. "After the detainee requested that her property be secured." Whitcomb said quietly, "She was a federal judge on court business." The red light kept glowing. A clerk brought Malloy a folder. "Preliminary response from Mr. Hale." Malloy read 2 lines. "He states he only asked for a welfare check." Aaron held up the dispatch printout. "Unauthorized vehicle appears in the original call summary." Avery added, "And Marisol's audio has him saying, 'People borrow cars, borrow badges.'" Naomi spoke. "Captain, I do not need him embarrassed. I need the sequence intact." Malloy's pen stopped moving. "It will be." Rourke looked at Naomi without the certainty he had worn at the gate. His mouth opened, then closed. The recorder's red light reflected in the polished table small and impossible to ignore. Ruth Mercer arrived at 10:46 with rain on the brim of her hat and a folded paper napkin in her fist. Captain Malloy offered water. Ruth set the cup down untouched. The room smelled of wet coats, toner, and bitter coffee. The red recording light glowed in the center. "You are not under discipline," Malloy said. "You are here as a witness." Ruth nodded. "I understand." Naomi sat across from her, Victor's pen clipped to her briefcase pocket. "What did you see at the north gate?" Malloy asked. Ruth twisted the napkin until one corner tore. "I saw the lady show a paper." "Which lady?" Ruth looked at Naomi. "Judge Ellison." Rourke shifted at the end of the table. His chair leg tapped once. Ruth flinched. "I didn't know that then. I only knew she was calm. She showed the guard a pass, and the man in the suit talked over her." "Preston Hale?" Aaron asked. "Yes." "He acted like rain belonged to him." Marisol stood near the wall with her bandaged thumb under her sleeve. Malloy said, "Did you attempt to speak?" "I did." Ruth swallowed. "Not enough." Naomi's fingers rested near the letter to Lena. The cream paper had dried unevenly. Ruth saw it. "When Officer Rourke told me to step back, I did. My husband used to say I had a courtroom voice. After he died, it went somewhere." No one filled the pause. Avery asked, "What happened after the booth phone rang?" "He told the guard to hang up. Judge Ellison told the guard to say her name." Ruth twisted the napkin again. "I should have walked to that booth myself." "You were instructed not to interfere," Malloy said. "I know." Ruth looked at Naomi. "I also know what I watched." Naomi said only, "Thank you for saying it clearly." The words landed harder than blame. Ruth pressed the napkin flat. Malloy turned to Marisol. "Ms. Vega, you're recording." Marisol placed her phone and the secure drive on the table. "Original file. I didn't cut anything." "Why were you recording?" "Because her answers didn't match his anger." Rourke looked up. "That's an opinion." "It's why I pressed record," Marisol said. "The facts are on the file." Malloy played the audio. Rain hissed. Keys struck pavement. Naomi's voice came through. "The black fob is not evidence. It is a person's way home." Marisol stared at the table. "I heard that and still didn't step in front of the door." Avery said, "You preserved evidence." "I also held coffee while they put her in the car." Naomi turned toward her. You sent the video. Too late. It reached the right people. Marisol's burned thumb trembled. Your daughter messaged me. She asked if you looked scared. Even Rourke's tapping stopped. Naomi looked at Victor's pen. What did you tell her? I told her you looked like you were counting every second. Naomi's hand closed over the pen clip, then released it. Malloy said, both witnesses state Officer Rourke had reasons to pause before restraint and transport. Ruth pushed the torn napkin across the table. Can you keep that? The napkin? Malloy asked. I held it the whole time. It'll remind me what my hands were doing. Naomi looked at the scraps, damp at the edges. Outside the review room, footsteps gathered in the hall. Preston Hale's voice carried before the door opened. Preston Hale entered as if the hallway belonged to him. His navy suit was dry, his tie reset, his leather folder under one arm. A younger attorney followed, eyes on the floor. Captain Malloy did not rise. Mr. Hale, this is not your courtroom. I was asked to clarify my role. You were asked to wait outside. Naomi sat with Victor's pen clipped to her briefcase. Ruth's torn napkin lay beside Marisol's sealed phone. The red recording light made a small dot on the table. Malloy opened a folder. At 8:08, you called the North Gate complaint in. I reported a concern. You said unauthorized vehicle in a reserved judicial space. That was my understanding. Aaron Price laid Naomi's pass beside the dispatch log. The guard was verifying it when you interrupted him. I had a hearing. Whitcomb's voice was low. So did this building. Deputy Marshal Avery played Marisol's audio. People borrow cars, borrow badges, try anything. Malloy asked, what did you mean by badges? A general comment. Naomi finally spoke. No, it was a direction. His collar reddened. Judge Ellison. Do not use my title now to soften what you refused to verify then. Malloy closed the folder. Preliminary findings enter today. Officer Rourke is placed on administrative leave pending full review. Officer Voss will complete remedial reporting review, but remains on duty due to documented attempts to slow transport. Mr. Hale, a formal complaint goes to the State Bar and Court Security Committee. Rourke's chair scraped. Leave? For doing my job? For ignoring verification, witnesses, property procedure, and a direct call from the courthouse. I followed a complaint. Naomi looked at the red light. You followed the answer you liked first. Ruth wiped her palms on her coat. Marisol bowed her head. Preston snapped his folder shut. This is disproportionate. Whitcomb removed her glasses. A judge was restrained, transported, denied a family call, and separated from federal documents outside her own courthouse. Procedure is uncomfortable now. That is not the problem. Malloy pushed another page forward. The department will issue a public apology by 5 p.m. The court will release factual timeline. Rourke stared at Naomi. You could have just said who you were. Naomi took Victor's pen from the briefcase and set it beside Lena's unopened letter. The silver barrel made a soft tap. I told you who to call, she said. You wanted me to beg. Elise Voss shut her eyes. Briggs looked down at his hands. Naomi stood carefully. Red lines circled her wrists above her sleeves. I am not asking for a speech, she said. I am asking for a rule. Before a person is put in handcuffs at these doors, someone must verify what can be verified. Malloy nodded once. Put that in writing. Whitcomb turned to Aaron. Joint meeting with court administration tomorrow morning. Aaron wrote it down. Outside, rain ticked against the high windows. Naomi lifted the letter, the pen, and her briefcase. At the doorway, she paused beside Elise. You saw the pass, Naomi said. Elise's voice was barely above the rain. Next time, I won't just see it. Naomi walked into the hall, where a courthouse notice board waited blank enough for new words. By 8:30 the next morning, the rain had stopped, but the courthouse steps still held dark patches where yesterday had not dried. Naomi stood beneath the north entrance awning with a paper cup cooling in her hand. The air smelled of wet stone, ink, and fresh paint from a wooden sign propped near the doors. Aaron Price held a clipboard. Marisol Vega stood beside him in a clean orange vest. Officer Elise Voss arrived last, eyes moving once to Naomi's wrists before looking away. Chief Judge Whitcomb tapped the sign. Read it. Aaron cleared his throat. Before restraint or transport at a court entrance, officers must verify credentials through court administration, security, or dispatch. Property must be secured. Family calls must be logged when delay may cause harm. Captain Malloy folded her arms. Plain enough? Naomi looked at the last line, where wet paint shone around the word dignity. Too soft. Which part? Aaron asked. That word is not a decoration. Add, verification is not optional when the means to verify are present. Elise swallowed. That should have been there. Malloy turned to her. Officer Voss, explain the difference between noticing a problem and stopping one. Yes, Captain. A maintenance worker knelt with a brush. At Whitcomb's nod, he painted the added sentence in careful strokes. The smell sharpened. Ruth Mercer came up with a paper bag. Muffins, not evidence. Ruth looked at the sign. That for people like yesterday? Naomi answered. For people tomorrow. Inside, the first training began at 9:15. Officers, guards, and clerks sat at folding tables. On the screen was Marisol's video, Naomi's keys in the puddle beside the yellow leaf. Elise stood beside it. My first report said I observed confusion at the gate. That was not enough. An officer in the back shifted. What were you supposed to do? Overrule your partner in public? Elise looked at Naomi. Yes, if the public mistake is already happening. Someone wrote that down. Malloy clicked to the next slide. Call admin. Secure property. Document family contact. Naomi spoke from her chair. No one here is being asked to treat status as a shield. You're being asked to treat verification as a duty. A guard asked, what if someone refuses to say who they are? Then use the tools you have, Naomi said. Do not make humiliation your tool. After lunch, Aaron posted the final sign at the north gate. The paint was dry, but still smelled new. Eddie held the ladder while Marisol tightened the screws. Straight? She asked. Eddie glanced at Naomi. I'm not guessing today. Good, Naomi said. Lena arrived in a dark green coat, hair windblown, eyes tired. She looked at the sign, then at the gate. This is where it happened? Yes. Lena touched the wood. A dot of black paint marked her fingertip. It still smells wet. It should, Naomi said. It is new. She only slid her stained fingertip into Naomi's palm. Aaron came down the steps with a folder. The scholarship board can meet at 4. They saved your place. Lena's voice was small but steady. Dad's letter? In my briefcase. They walked past the sign together. Behind them, the courthouse door opened, and this time Eddie reached for the phone before anyone asked. 3 weeks later, the north gate opened before Naomi reached the booth. Eddie leaned from the window, older in his pressed shirt. Good afternoon, Judge Ellison. Naomi stopped by the sign. The paint smell had faded, but one black dot still marked the corner where Lena touched it. Good afternoon, Eddie. He lifted the phone. Administrator confirms your arrival. Naomi gave a small nod. Thank you for using it. Inside the lobby, a public report stood on an easel. It listed dates, failures, corrections, and names only where policy required them. Caleb Rourke had been placed on unpaid leave, then separated from field duty after repeated violations of verification and property procedure. Preston Hale's complaint had gone to the state bar, and he lost his court security committee seat. Elise Voss remained on duty under review, assigned to train new officers on intervention. Marisol Vega waited near the metal detector, a bandage on her thumb and a visitor badge crooked on her vest. Ruth Mercer stood beside her with a small paper bag. "I brought muffins again," Ruth said. "Still not evidence." Naomi almost smiled. "Noted." Marisol looked toward the glass doors. People stop to read the sign. Do they understand it? Some do. Some read it twice. At 4 o'clock, the Victor Ellison Scholarship Ceremony began in a small hall with folding chairs, white flowers, and late sunlight on the floor. Lena stood at the podium in her dark green coat and unfolded the letter her mother had carried through rain, plastic, and silence. Naomi sat in front. The silver pen lay beside the program, no longer sealed in a tray or pointed toward a door. Lena touched it before reading. "Your father wrote this after his last hearing," Naomi said. Lena looked down. "He knew?" "He knew I was better at justice than arriving on time." A small laugh moved through Lena and broke. She read Victor's words slowly. He had written about service without applause, mistakes corrected in public, and a daughter who should never shrink to make a room comfortable. When Lena finished, she sat beside Naomi. "I watched that video once," she said. "I wish you had never seen it. I needed to see what you survived without me." Naomi folded her hands over Victor's pen. "I was counting seconds until I could call you." Lena rested her shoulder against hers. No one clapped right away. By winter, the new gate procedure had spread to 2 neighboring counties. Aaron Price kept a checklist on his desk. Captain Malloy required monthly audits. Elise Voss taught the section she once failed. When recruits asked what courage looked like in uniform, she pointed to the paused image of a black car key in a puddle and said, "It can be smaller than you want it to be." Rourke did not attend the last hearing after his final statement. Hale's name came off the donor wall during a routine update, not a ceremony. On the first clear morning of January, Naomi and Lena returned to the north entrance. Ruth had left a muffin bag at the booth. Marisol waved from the parking office. Eddie reached for the phone, then stopped because the administrator had called. Lena held out Victor's silver pen. "Keep it?" Naomi shook her head. "Use it." Lena signed the scholarship register. The ink dried dark and clean. Outside, the gate arm lifted, and a yellow leaf moved quietly across the dry pavement. If this story made you think about a moment when someone was judged before anyone checked the truth, share that experience in the comments. Maybe you saw it happen at work, in public, at school, or in a place where authority should have listened first. Send this story to someone who believes dignity and justice are not favors, but responsibilities. And subscribe for more stories about quiet resilience, hard-earned accountability, and the kind of system change that starts when one person refuses to disappear. Sometimes the strongest ending is not revenge. It is a door that opens differently for the next person.